It's an increasingly lonely job leading Ukraine right now. Unloved these days by the Americans, it's only on visits to Europe that Volodymyr Zelenskyy gets a really warm welcome. Keir Starmer brought the leaders of France and Germany to Downing Street, in part to show a united front, in part to help Zelenskyy resist intense US and Russian pressure.
Matters about Ukraine for Ukraine, and we stand here to support you in the conflict and support you in the negotiations.
President Macron is insistent that however much Washington shuts them out of talks, Europe is playing a big role.
I think we have a lot of cards in our hands. The financing and the furniture of equipment and training programs to Ukraine, the fact that Ukraine is resisting in this war, and the fact that the Russian economy is starting to suffer, especially after our latest sanctions.
And Germany's Chancellor Merz was as blunt as diplomacy allows about some of what's going on.
I'm skeptical about some of the details which we are seeing in the documents coming from US side, but we have to talk about it. That's why we are here.
The peace plan negotiated between the US and Vladimir Putin over the heads of both Ukraine and Europe has been modified over the last couple of weeks under intense pressure from Kiev and European capitals. For President Trump, this is an intense irritation, further evidence in his mind that it's Ukraine alone that stands between him and an historic moment of peacemaking.
I have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed that President Zelenskyy hasn't yet read the proposal. That was as of a few hours ago. His people love it, but he hasn't. Russia's fine with it.
Moscow not only continues to attack Ukraine's civilians, last night a drone hit an apartment block in Sumy, but has also made almost no compromise in talks so far. All that may outrage the Europeans meeting in London, but Zelenskyy was clear he can't afford to break with Washington.
We can't manage without Americans, things which we can't manage without Europe, and that's why we need to make some important decisions.
And as he left, heading for more talks with NATO and the European Commission, that is the diplomatic dance from which Zelenskyy cannot escape. He can't be the man who says no to Trump, and yet he can't sign away his country. And it's not clear European support can save him.
Well, Russia is doing everything it can to gain more territory on the battlefield as those negotiations continue. This is the front line right now. The red areas shown are Ukrainian territory controlled by Russia, and these green circles are where there has been significant fighting in the past 24 hours. Well, James is in Zhizhou on the Polish-Ukrainian border. James, what's your assessment tonight? We hear so many different things said about the battlefield, about the state of Russia's economy. Where do you think we really are with this?
Well, it may be true that both Russians struggling with their economy and Ukrainians struggling on the battlefield may be playing a part in why these talks have gone on rather longer than many people may have expected. The trouble for both sides is that a bad peace could be existential. To accept the US terms, Ukraine would effectively be at Moscow's mercy in the future. If Putin were to accept a bad peace, having lost more than 1 million troops and wrecked the country's economy, he may be worried about whether his regime survives. But the big question for Zelenskyy at the moment is that if a deal isn't done now and Trump simply walks away, is Europe ready or prepared or able to step in, to provide the weapons that he needs, or to buy the weapons that he needs, and to provide the money that will prevent his economy from collapsing? That's why Zelenskyy would have been trying to assess that at those talks today, and that's why he has some really consequential decisions to make, probably in the next few weeks.
OK, James, thank you very much indeed. Well, losing land in any peace deal is unthinkable to many of the Ukrainian soldiers who fought so hard to defend it. But so too is more bloodshed for those who've lost so much they hold dear since the war began.
From beneath the ruins of a family home, a 14-year-old girl is rescued. Soon she will learn both her parents and a brother are dead. And a Russian strike has made her one of thousands of children orphaned in Ukraine. This is Yana now, learning to live without the love and protection of her family in a country where civilians are under constant attack.
I woke up to a woman scream and couldn't understand where I was or why it was so dark. I heard a kitten meowing next to me and realised that something was wrong. I saw blood on my toy and realised that something very terrible had happened. I couldn't hear anything. My ears were filled with sand. I realised that I was trapped between the wardrobe and the radiator.
Jana managed to send a text when she was under the rubble. That's how she was found.
Where's Papa? And then here you say, I'm under the furniture, I'm struggling to breathe, and I think I'm dying.
Jana's father had only just returned from the front line when he was killed. She doesn't want the land he fought for lost, but desperately wants an end to the war. On a stage, a mother dances with her daughter. Soon, the smiling 5-year-old will be dead, and her mother will become one of the thousands of parents mourning their children.
And these are the last photographs of you and Nicole together.
This is Sasha now, displaced, widowed and childless because of one of Russia's many strikes on civilian homes. The family had been in bed together when the explosion happened. Now trying to survive without her husband or daughter, she prays for peace, her deep faith sustaining her in grief.
War is a horror that only creates widows and orphans. It is an evil that cannot be overcome with evil. Yes, we are in pain. Yes, the losses are great. Something must change.
On a hospital ward, a young man contemplates a changed future. Alexei's body bears the scars of a Russian drone attack. He will fight no more, but fears what he fought for may be lost in the quest for peace.
It is offensive to the soldiers who were wounded and gave their lives for this land that the entire Donetsk region will be given away. I served there and find that offensive. But on the other hand, maybe doing that, this will stop more bloodshed, but I don't think Russia can be trusted.
Despite the war, Ukrainians are trying to maintain some normality. Christmas approaches with limited cheer. But for all the semblance of normality, nothing is normal. Even the toy shops, stacked full of gifts, are selling child-sized tourniquets to stem the blood for when the youngest in society are wounded in this war. Peace cannot come soon enough, but no one is particularly convinced that it's coming anytime soon. Emma Murphy, News at 10, Ukraine.